Hi everybody, this is January 15th, 2025. It's an update on my video journal to recover from the trauma of watching my little brother, Paul Kierans, 64, with Down syndrome, be locked up by the British Columbia New Democratic Party government and L'Arche, L''ARCHE. Trying to let you get as good a picture of the outside as possible. So I'm posting these videos as a journal to try and recover from the trauma of watching my little brother be locked up in his group home, L'Arche, L''ARCHE, for 588 days before he had some kind of incident and died at Burnaby Hospital 10 days on April 23rd, 2024. So I was in the Court of Appeal this morning. I had applied for what's called leave to appeal, or permission to appeal the decision of the judge. So when on April 9th of 2024, when my Catholic nun sister, 4,000 kilometers away in Ontario, when my Catholic nun sister found out that the RCMP had been ordered by Ottawa to reopen the investigation into the power of attorney my Catholic nun sister had over my brother, she had her lawyers, who were paid by the Catholic Church, applied to have me declared a vexatious litigant. So I had complained to the Burnaby RCMP that the document my sister had giving her control over my disabled brother was a fraud for his lack of capacity and was a forgery. And the Burnaby RCMP constable I spoke to what she told me she was going to do is get the original document, the originally signed document, and interview the two witnesses who were low-level workers at the group home at L'Arche. She didn't do that. What she did instead was she went to the group home and tipped them off that I had complained about the power of attorney. It's called a representation agreement in BC. And when the group home found out I had complained to the RCMP, they terminated our agreement for twice weekly visits with Paul. So rather than waiting for the RCMP to do an investigation and come to a determination about whether to lay charges or not, they completely terminated my visits, my twice weekly visits with Paul, which to me says that they knew it was a fraud and a forgery. And it's a document that they create for all of their incapable residents. So the nun's lawyers brought on an application after Paul died on April 23rd. I believe that they did medical assistance in dying on him, although he wasn't capable of consenting to it. I know that they took away his ventilator, his oxygen ventilator, and his intravenous and his catheter. They took away all his medical supports at Burnaby Hospital and then sedated him to death, I believe with hydromorphone or some kind of opioid. Now, Paul could not consent to suicide, which is legal in Canada. Incapable people cannot consent to it. You have to be of sound mind in order to consent to it. So when the nun found out that I had been told and that by the RCMP that she was being investigated, I believe she ordered to have my brother have all his medical supports removed. He had had some kind of brain incident. I'm guessing that he fell, or he could have been hit on the head with something. He had a gash on the right side of his head, oozing blood. So when she found out that I knew that she was being investigated, she brought on an application to have me declared a vexatious litigant. And the RCMP were doing a slow walk of the investigation. They were moving very slowly. Their letter to me informing me that they had been ordered by Ottawa to reopen the investigation was dated March 27th of 2024, but it wasn't delivered to me until April 21st of 2024. So the hearing to have me declared a vexatious litigant took place the week of November 18th of 2024, and I immediately asked the judge to stop and wait and adjourn the hearing until the RCMP could finish their investigation, but she didn't. And then I told her that I'm only allowed to appear in court for 2 hours a day. I have medical certificates from my family doctor and a letter from my cardiologist, but she went ahead. She went ahead for 2 full days after I told her that. No other judge has done that, which I'm alleging is cruel and inhumane and cruel and unusual punishment. For her to demand that I put my life at risk to sit through this court hearing was cruel and unusual punishment. So I appealed those decisions, and my application for leave to appeal was set to be heard this morning. And the judge that we appeared before this morning said, I don't even need permission to appeal. I have a right to appeal. The judge found that I was a vexatious litigant in my absence. And it was a very productive hearing because I didn't have to say anything. The judge said that as I had already applied to appeal the decision finding me a vexatious litigant, all the appeals would be rolled in together. Long story short is I didn't have to argue anything, and the nun's lawyer asked for costs against me for the appearance this morning. He said he wanted 5 credits of costs, and the judge gave him 2. So I did have costs awarded against me this morning, but it was very productive, and we're going to go straight. The judge made a finding that I have an automatic right to appeal the finding of me as a vexatious litigant. And she seemed very sympathetic. It's the most upbeat hearing I've ever appeared at. I guess my experience with the Canadian courts is that it's like my grandfather, who was a judge, an Ontario Superior Court judge, said, the wheels of justice grind exceedingly slow, but they grind exceedingly fine. He also said the law is an ass, out of Charles Dickens. But so I feel very positive. I'm just on cloud 9. And I feel that Paul's going to get justice in the end. Looking forward to doing this appeal. So I'm looking for a lawyer. I've called about 30 lawyers, and there's about 3 left that haven't turned me down. So I'd have to find somebody that can do it on contingency. But it was a very good morning. I guess the gist of it is my faith in the Canadian justice system has been borne out. And the next step is to have a hearing of my appeal of the finding that I'm a vexatious litigant, which basically they took away all of Paul's rights with this fraudulent and forged power of attorney. And then Paul died, and then they took away all of my rights with the vexatious litigant finding, restricting me from defending myself in court, and even tried to put my life at risk because I have a potentially life-threatening cardiac condition. And the judge said that well, she didn't adjourn the hearing after 2 hours, which all the other judges have done. She wanted me to stick around and put my life at risk. So I'm very worn out, but it was I thought I told you guys all the bad news, and now it's time to tell you the good news. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful day.